Hello Shape America, I am Shappell, and today I am going to highlight some amazing things I have done in the classroom prior to COVID. You will notice throughout this presentation will be hyperlinks, and at the conclusion will be a link that includes this presentation without me speaking, so you can click back at anything for further information. I am in my 13th year at the Daniel Boone Area Middle School, located about an hour and a half away from Philadelphia. The school has 737 6th through 8th grade students. I teach 6 classes each day, with 6th grade PE twice a day, 7th grade twice a day, and 8th grade twice a day as well. The periods last 43 minutes long. I see students 2 times every 6-day school schedule. The following graphics were obtained from Future Ready schools that highlight various percentages from race, gender, and student groups. As you can see on the graphs, 1/3 of my students are economically disadvantaged. Let's now take a closer look at my environment in the classroom. My classes are organized so that there is ample equipment available for every student and there is no downtime. Students are engaged at least half of the class, and I use a variety of small-sided games or individualized activities. Here is an example from my mind-body unit that allow all students to participate. Students with disabilities are included, and each lesson has a variety of modifications that are developmentally appropriate for every fitness level. For example, later in this presentation, I will talk about TRX straps. During the chest press exercise, I give the students a variety of options to adjust the straps to their own comfort and challenge level. I mentioned to them that they aren't competing with each other and to find modifications that best challenge them. For some, it might be with their feet shoulder width apart. For others, it might be keeping balance by trying to lift one foot. And for some, it might involve lowering the angle of their body towards the ground. There is no right or wrong, it is finding what best suits them. In addition to my teaching, I even have opportunities for students with medical limitations to be active in some capacity. As you can see in the video up here, when the students enter the gymnasium, a video is playing. Each video has 3 distinct features: the unit taught in class, music to set the atmosphere. By the way, I'm a big fan of Coldplay and Imagine Dragons, and a video from an inspiring place that I traveled. The students get to see the beauty of nature during my hike and a place that they might want to visit when they get older. And finally, a role model who is healthy and active. The students get to watch the video while I'm taking attendance. Afterward, I get right into my lesson for the day. In addition, my class is designed to meet my program goals in my scope and sequence that I created. This is a slide that I have up the first day of class. This isn't a lecture where students could tune me out, but rather an open conversation where students are active participants. I start by asking class, what is the difference between the two? From here, as a group, we create the list of the rules and expectations that the students come up with. Now, mind you, each class is different, but this is a great way to hold students accountable throughout the year. Afterward, I go over any of my personal rules and expectations that might have been missed or overlooked. And this collaborative approach has been a great way to start my school year. As mentioned earlier, I have a video to start class. From there, my classes are structured to introduce the essential question of the day, followed by a warm-up. Next, I go over the instructional focus and activities for the day. Towards the end of class, we do a cool down and debrief, or summarizing activity. The debrief is a great way to add self-reflective questions and ensure the daily objectives were met. I also incorporate a variety of assessments from formative to summative in my teaching. Over here was a summative assessment from one group during my cardiovascular improvement unit. I absolutely loved their response to the one question. The question asked if the unit changed the way they thought and felt about cardio and their body. They responded with, and I quote, "I realized that cardio and the body is important and it doesn't have to feel like work, and it can be fun. Next is class management. My class is designed for students to take responsibility for their own behavior and learning. I am a big proponent of encouraging students to develop intrinsic motivation and focus on getting in touch with their own bodies. My environment is safe, supported, and students aren't afraid to make mistakes. I use language and a disposition that encourages exploration. For example, during my mind-body unit, I mentioned to students it's okay to wobble and lose their balance. It's a part of the learning process. Students are allowed to try, fail, and make mistakes without harassment from myself or other students. Up here is a video of my team building unit where students had to work together to solve a puzzle. The premise was for students to put the story in sequential order. It may look easy, but I can promise you it was rather challenging. Finally, over here is relationships. One of my personal strengths is building relationships and connections. I have a positive and professional relationship with all of my students because I give them my attention and listen. Being a good listener shows students that I care for them. I am big on giving praise, and in doing so, reinforce positive behavior. Relationship building extends outside my classroom as I have done some amazing things around the school. As you will see on the next slide, here are some other areas that I am proud of at the middle school prior to COVID. One in particular is Unity Day. It was so successful that the district is allowing me to continue this day going forward, and my goal is to have every student, K-12, attend this by the time they graduate. If you would like to learn more about Unity Day, I wrote a blog post not too long ago on Shape America. Another highlight is how I obtained and utilized the weight room. The athletic director and I spent our summer turning a vacant classroom into a weight room. In addition to using this in PE, I wanted to expand upon this resource. So, I met with guidance and administration to identify high risk, or as I like to say, at promise students, and these students and I would meet once a week throughout the school year. They received more personalized coaching, the opportunity to work out, and most importantly, form connections with each other and me. This group became known as my weight room mentors and were asked to be classroom leaders during the weightlifting classes. It was such an empowering program. The first year of the program in particular really hit home for me. On the very first day, I called this small group of students into the gym to invite them to be part of this group. One student immediately asked if he was in trouble, while later in the meeting, another student asked, "Why didn't you pick a more athletic or a more popular kid?" I didn't say they were chosen because they were at promise. Instead, I said because I wanted them there. A subtle smile crossed their faces, and I knew right then and there they needed this. Many that moved on to the high school still talk about this program and the impact it had on them. Those were just a few examples of the environment that I created outside my classroom that build upon and improve the school's wellness. Let's now take a look at one of my favorite units, the Muscular Development Unit. My goal is to have a clear progression where each lesson builds upon the other. Upon completion, the students have the knowledge, experience, confidence, and a mastery of a wide variety of activities to create their own program. As a result, this promotes physical literacy, which gives students the motivation to be able to do these on their own and for the rest of their life. When introducing new skills throughout this unit, you will notice the variety of teaching strategies and styles I use with my students. From visual to kinesthetic and indirect to direct instruction, I am a firm believer there is no one size fits all. As you will see in Lesson 2, I introduce TRX to students. For many, this is a brand new skill. I start by introducing students to a warm-up they are already familiar with and use that as the foundation throughout their exercises. I break the exercise down into step-by-step relatable cues and terminology that students will remember. On the video to the left, students become the teacher and correct common mistakes on the TRX. Students notice that I am not maintaining my plank and help me to correct my form. On the video to the right, I monitor skill development by providing specific feedback on a constant basis to check for understanding. And I use a variety of assessments that you will see throughout this unit that tie in with my essential question. Diving further into this unit, next I will highlight various elements from 4 sample lessons. As mentioned earlier, the video over here is how I introduce the unit to students when they enter the gym. There is an uplifting song to set the atmosphere of the class. After the warm-up, many of the first things I introduce to students is the difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercise. The muscular development unit is typically taught after my cardiovascular improvement unit, so this is a great way of bridging the gap between the two. The focus of this lesson is to learn form and technique for a variety of bodyweight activities. Students understand that they don't need equipment, and all of the activities can be done individually and in the comfort of their own home. Looking at the picture here, you will see the gym setup. I have a cone to mark the station, a paper at each station that reiterates how to do the exercise, and modifications to make it both easier and more challenging, along with a shoebox and a slip of paper. Please note, I also go over each of these exercises prior. The shoebox and slip of paper is mentioned here.
What I would like you to do after you're done exercising is to write the muscle or the muscles where you feel it in your body. At the end of class, I'm going to go over why this is important, but all I want you to do is after you're done, think to your partner, all right, where do we feel this in our body?
As you see in the video, I have a visual with basic anatomy of the human body, and I leave this up for students to reference. At the conclusion of class, I take a few particular stations and highlight student responses. If the majority get the station wrong, I use it as a time to reflect. What could have happened? Was the form incorrect? Or, on the flip side, if a pair got the answer right, I will call on them to share their reasoning behind their answer. Moving on to lesson 2, this is hands down one of my favorite lessons I teach students. For the warm-up, I take students through a plank progression. I mentioned this in presentations to other health and PE teachers that I call this warm-up a micro-movement activity. I take this exercise and break it down to get students to hone in on bodily sensations and make terminology understandable and relatable. Plus, it gives students cues that they will remember. I provided the full lesson plan along with this presentation so you will see how I teach this skill to students. Essentially, I break the plank down into 4 areas: glutes, abdominals, shoulders, and total body alignment. When emphasizing the glutes and abs, I use a scale to get students to understand their perceived levels of exertion. The reason I use this as a warm-up is highlighted in the video here.
Those 4 key takeaways, the abs, the shoulders, the butt, your body, what that's doing is putting your body in the right position up here.
Before students get on the TRX bodyweight straps, I go over sets and repetition and goal setting. Using the chart over here, students will pick a training goal to complete during class. Afterward, one student will use the straps while the other partner checks their form and technique and provides feedback using the assessment here. Students will then switch roles. I really enjoy using TRX for 3 reasons. First, it is customizable and offers various ways to make modifications. Second, it is used as a way to tune out what other students are doing and get in touch with their own bodies. I use this lesson to emphasize that it isn't about what somebody else is doing. Students are encouraged to focus on their own form and what feels like the sweet spot on their perceived level of exertion scale. And third, finally, it's fun. Now that students have mastered various bodyweight activities without equipment, and then use TRX to enhance their bodyweight exercises, I now introduce students to exercises using weights. I have a variety of slam balls for all different ages and abilities, and for some of my life skill friends, we use a foam ball to modify the activity. The students have a blast in this lesson, and I use a very similar partner checklist assessment that I use with TRX for the slam balls. One of my highlights of this lesson includes learning about functional movements. In the video above, you will see a person doing a squat, a video showing the muscles involved in the squat, and being a huge Philadelphia fan, a video of Joel Embiid shooting a free throw, which positions his body in a squat. The students are shown other examples as well. My goal is to show the relationship that these exercises have and that they serve a much larger purpose. In addition, for my 8th graders, I take them to the weight room. As a certified personal trainer, I spend a great deal of time going over form and technique and safety before I even have students using the machines. For the culminating lesson of this unit, students can utilize all of the activities, exercises, and equipment we use throughout the unit. My goal is for students to create their own customized workout plans. I have given them the tools and knowledge throughout the unit that they will be able to create their own goals using everything they learned in class. Each group develops an exercise plan, completes the workout, and at the end of class submits their assessment. Here is a 6th grade assessment where I have the students create a group exercise plan. By 8th grade, they create their own. Notice though at the bottom, I tie in the essential question throughout the unit and to get students to reflect on their experience. The reason I love incorporating assessments in my teaching is because I really enjoy reading students' responses, but more importantly, it checks for their level of understanding and it helps me fine-tune and critique my instruction going forward. My goal is by the time they are done with this unit, they now have the confidence, motivation, and skill set to be able to continue these type of activities outside my classroom. To wrap things up, I really want to thank you, Shape America, for this experience. There have been so many people and organizations that have supported my program's vision, and I am grateful for their support. Up here are just a few. Before we leave, I would like to leave you with my motto in life. My favorite quote's by Gandhi. It's up here. And he said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." So this message is for all current, future, and retired educators. Be the change. Be the change that propels our profession forward. Be the change for those students that look forward to seeing each of you every single day. Be the change that inspires a new wellness paradigm. Be the change. Thank you.